and salutations, fellow Earthlings, Jumbo, as they say clearly. This is Mwezi One, a Mission Control Center coming to you live and direct from the edges of the Chalbi Desert, where we are participating as the only African habitat, the only lunar analog African habitat in the world's biggest analog. And if you're seeing this for the first time, the world's biggest analog is a history-making research project which involves 16 analog space research centers around the world, 10 of which are doing Mars habitats, 5 of which are doing lunar habitats, and 1 is an interstellar traveler habitat. We again represent the only lunar analog habitat in Africa. Indeed, we're the only analog habitat in sub-Saharan Africa. And we are also distinguished by, for this mission, Mwezi One, and Mwezi means moon in Kiswahili, which is now official language of the African Union. Mwezi is a word meaning moon. Our full name is Mwezi Makazi, Moon Habitat, and this is our first mission. We're also distinguished by being the youngest analog astronaut crew in this global mission. I am Dr. Claire Nelson, founder of the Open Africa Space Exploration Analog Simulation Initiative, and the founding and habitat director of this Mwezi One mission. With me in mission control, we have our Education Outreach Officer, Bernard Rugat. We also have our Habitat Systems Officer, Teresa. And on our call, we have with us the Mwezi One Habitat, which are our isolation crew. Our isolation crew. We have Mr. Stanley and Mr. Frank, who represent the Education and Outreach as well as the Habitat and Systems Management team. So, Mr. Bernard, tell us, what are we going to talk about today, and what do we want to share with the public? Our daily press briefings are meant to provide you with an update on 24 to 48 hour time of what has happened in the habitat, what is the status update, what has happened in terms of challenges, successes, how challenges have been resolved, and also have an opportunity for our astronauts as well as mission control, who are also out here for the first time, to talk about what does this study and the implications of all the things we're learning about the power systems, water systems, the food and logistics systems, the habitat management systems, and sanitation and waste, etc., how these are functioning, and what we're learning that might implicate how we do things differently. Let me just add, before I turn the phone over to Bernard Rugat, that this is also a moonshot frugal innovation experiment. So everything here was self-financed by the university, by the Canada Guides, our partner, by Futures Forum. And our hope, of course, is to build out partnerships across the world with scientists, research centers, universities, space activists, advocates, etc., who see and recognize the absolute value that doing analog research in the isolated parts of Africa, which is what we will have as our advantage for future research will happen in the analog astronaut community. So Bernard Rugat, welcome, good morning. Tell us what's happening here in Mission Control, and also introduce us to the team you want to talk to us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Claire, and welcome aboard. This is our 9th day at Marsabit, Kenya. Today on studio we have the Habitat and Sanitation officers. Actually, after saying that to the crew that we're having in the studio, definitely you know that we are going to they are going to update us on the 24 to 48 hours update on habitat and sanitation and their job and the challenges that they are facing. But first, I'd like to hear from them all about their work. What we are going to start. They are going to start by sharing us what's their role, what they do daily, and everything that that's habitat and sanitation is about. Before we go on to the challenges they are facing and how they are how the challenges that they are facing, they are going to the solution that the solution they come up with and share with us how they resolve all of those challenges. I'd like to start with the mission control team, of which we have we have Teresa here on studio. Yeah, she will share with us and the roles that she is taking here as a habitat and sanitation officer. Teresa, the floor is yours. Can you share with us, please?
Okay, good morning. I'm Teresa Mwindi. I serve as the Habitat and Sanitation.
Protective voice.
I'm Teresa Mwindi. I serve as the Habitat and Sanitation Mission Control. And yeah, we have we have um
What is your role, and what does the role entail? Rather?
Yes.
about the Habitat and Sanitation. It's about the waste management, water supply. Yeah, so we are ensuring that the waste is well disposed and and the water problem was sorted some days back. Yeah, and we are working on ensuring to keep the surrounding clean. Yeah,
Okay.
and then
What about the rain? Do we have adequate issues when it comes to rain? Because we have unexpected rain.
about the rain, not really, but
There are no problems with the rain. Okay.
no.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We have heard about the role of habitat and sanitation from the mission control. I'd like to turn the studio first to Stanley, who is the education and outreach officer from the other side, so that he can introduce the habitat officer from the habitat and share more about the roles of the habitat and sanitation before we continue. Stanley, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bernard, for the time you're given to me. I'm Stanley Mentira, the Education and Outreach Officer here at the Habitat, and today I have here our Habitat and Sanitation Officer, and I want him to tell us more about the sanitation and what about the habitat inside here. Maybe it may differing from here and there at the mission control. So I want to give him this opportunity to tell us more about his role.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Frankie Toss.
Hello.
Assistant Officer. Yeah, the habitat. Okay, actually, I have a lot to share because the habitat is different from sanitation. Okay. Oh, hello. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can
Yes.
I
hear
want to
you.
talk briefly about the habitat. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I want to share briefly about the habitat. So the habitat is of an hexad. So the hexad, I think it's come from the word hexagon, and you know hexagon has 6 sides. So we all have 6 hexads being attached together, and then we have a one room, which is our meeting room, and the six hexads, they all have different roles. Like the 2 of the rooms are sleeping rooms. We have the sleeping room 1 and the sleeping room 2. So the sleeping room 1 is for the ladies, sleeping room 1 is for the men. We have our working room 1 where we conduct all our work. Like for example, today we have the space seed experiment. So we conduct there our experiments. Then we have our working room 2 where we go there and maybe we can share about anything. But as of right now, we have converted it to a kitchen. But also we are keeping there our small other things. The other room is the airlock. So the airlock is the only room where we can access to the outside. So whenever we are going to our EVAs, so we have to make sure the other door is closed. Also, when the team from the mission control side, they are bringing for us anything, we are making sure the inside door is closed. So basically the airlock serves the role of connecting us, the inside to the outside. All the other exits have their doors, but the the door at the exit is the one we use to go outside. So the exit is basically made of plywood, and plywood measure, they all measure the same size, 8 feet by 4 feet, and the plywood are being supported by the frame. We have the purlins, we have the rafters for the supporting of the roof. We have the we attach the plywood together with the wood using screws and nails to make sure that because this is a very windy area, so we can make sure that the roof is not blown away. Recently, for the past 2 days there have been strong winds and the roof has been blown twice. But thanks to mission control, the issue has been sorted out, and we are ready for the winds today. I hope the mission.
Okay, we have had discontinuity. We have some discontinuity there. We have lost communications. We've lost communications while we get them back. They were talking about the habitat construction. This is also something that distinguishes this particular analog astronaut group and why it makes us so proud to be pioneering the analog astronaut community in the sub-Saharan African sense. They also constructed the habitat themselves at Machakas University. And all the parts were cut. They were brought here to Marsabit. Let me add that this is 9 hours drive, almost 9.5 hours drive away, if you were to drive straight through from Machakas to Marsabit. Actually, I would say more like 10 because the hour to Nairobi, then from Nairobi to Marsabit town is 8 hours, and from Marsabit town here is an hour and a half. So you're talking about a 10-hour ride. We got here about 5 days before the actual load in of our flight, and they were hard at work constructing. And so this is a very special habitat. Let me just say that they have much higher winds than we even thought were going to happen. At points, we have seen dust devils, and we have had ongoing repairs. Almost every day you can hear hammering. And it's very interesting to think through from the point of view of not only how we might redesign housing for the pastoralists. The people who live here are pastoralists. They actually are used to living in portable housing. They build their portable housing with twigs and fabric. And one of the big differences in design, which we have to take into account of these habitats, is that their roof is a dome, a oblong, a cylindrical dome, while we are working with a pointed roof. Mind you, because we have its 6 sides, it does allow for the wind shear to be contained. But I think in terms of the research that will follow, it will be to look at more seriously at the other types of roofing in this area and see if our civil engineering department at Machakos, as well as those at Kabete, who do some of the construction, cannot come up with some kind of hackathon to rethink this design process, to study more closely what the Gabra people on whose land we are use, as well as the Rendile, another tribe, different design, but also a very rounded shape, which allows for different kind of a wind shear. So that's one thing I think has already been in the learning curve. So while we wait on, I think they're back, so let's bring them back on stage. Let's bring them back on stage. They're back. All right. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening. Again, we can see how slow the system is by the length of time it takes to load. So I was just talking while they were off about the whole design and construction of the habitat. I know in the early days, Frank Kipto, you and I spent quite some time online doodling on our whiteboard about this formation of the 7-celled hexayurt. We toyed with doing a 5-celled hexayurt, and then we added 2 cells. What are your thoughts about what we thought then and what is happening now? How do you see what we conceptualized on paper, you and I scribbling together, trying to figure out what would be where and how it would be used? How do you think our actual practical design compares and contrasts with the ideas we doodled and discussed online in one of our many calls prior to this mission. The call is for Frank. I know Frank and I spent a long time on these things. Frank, the floor is yours. Is Frank hearing me? Or are they frozen? Oh.
They're frozen.
Are they frozen? If you could raise them on the phone, please, and let us see if we can continue the conversation. Let's do it on the phone.
Okay, and guess what? Since you don't have that, I'm sitting here waiting for the report from Mary. Can you probably communicate with her to send over the daily mission report?
Yes. Okay, so we're trying to raise them back. Give her this. Use the phone. We're trying to raise them back. Sorry about that. Again, sorry about that. It seems as if we have a challenge with the internet. That's been an intermittent issue. Again, we are fairly remote. We did come with our own dedicated modem, dedicated extender, and we literally are while we're in two separate locations, we're next door to each other. The habitats are made exactly the same way, or the facilities or buildings are made the same way. So if we consider this two facility thing, the base camp, one facility or one building is called the habitat and one is called Mission Control Center. Over here in Mission Control Center, we also have around 10 people. We have 2 rooms for sleeping, 1 male, 1 female. We have a hygiene room. There's a mission commander quarters, which is myself. And we have also an office with computers. That is a dedicated office room. And we have the airlock structure as well, which is where we keep our systems engine, meaning our inverter, our battery, etc., is inside our home airlock space. And of course, we're here in the common rooms. So I'd like to talk to Ms. Teresa here, who is in Mission Control Habitat, to get her feedback. She was not involved in the design process, but I'd love to hear from her feelings about this particular design. We have an all plywood structure. We have an all plywood floor. How challenging has it been? We talked about cleanliness and waste management. How challenging has it been? What are some of the challenges you're facing trying to keep the place clean and habitable?
Oh, one of the challenges is the wooden floor. It's kind of a bit of hard to clean with water. So yeah, we are coping up with that. So we are more sweeping and wiping a bit, but that's a challenge. But we are working on it, and we are managing it the way we can.
So you do more for sweeping and less of mopping.
Yeah.
What about the issue of hygiene, bathroom, toilet, water? How is that being managed?
The hygiene, the bathrooms we are using for the outside, so it's easy to clean since there is enough water and the detergents for cleaning. Yeah, that's easy.
Right.
And
anything you want to add?
Okay, and on the same about sanitation, we saw you yesterday doing some little of cleaning around the habitats, picking litters and going and collecting them some. Can you please share about it? Because we are talking about the weather here, about the blowing of the papers. We saw you picking them. What motivated you to do that?
Okay, it's always good to keep the surrounding clean, and while picking, we pick and burn them, because if we just dispose them, the wind sometimes carries the papers and blows them towards the further end, and that becomes a challenge picking. So yeah, we pick and burn so that it's easy to keep the clean, and also the bottles. We have garbage bags which we put them inside. Yeah, we are working on ensuring the surrounding is clean and keeping it clean always.
Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome back on studio from the Habitat, Stanley and Franklin. I'd like to I like to also ask a question. I'd like to pass the stage to you, Stanley, and the studio inside there, and ask about the challenges and how you are solving your own challenges and problems inside the habitat. Stanley?
Okay. I think the habitat officer can answer that question very good, and I'll have to add some points. You can.
Okay, maybe I can share about the challenges we are facing at the habitat. So the first challenge we faced while we were here was the heat. Was the heat and the air circulation. So during the first 2 days, it was very hot in here. I think even only the meeting room is the one which is about less cooler than the others. But the working room one and the sleeping room two and the kitchen, they are very hot during the midday and up to mid afternoon. So, but thanks to the mission control side and the habitat director, we were able to get a fan, and now, at least now some it's now starting to cool. Another challenge we have winds. We have unpredictable winds. We are just chilling in here. 1 second, the roof is blown away. So I think that's a very serious issue. But thanks to the mission control, they're always ready to help with that. Another issue, um, I think those are the main two issues concerning our
Okay.
habitat. Otherwise, as of right now, we don't have any other issue.
Okay. Thank you, Stanley.
Actually, here at the habitat, actually we don't have many issues to talk about, but the issue of those strong, I don't know, the northern winds or the northerly winds which come around one, they're always destructive. For the first time, they blew our roof away, as you have heard from the habitat officer. And like yesterday, we were taking our lunch. Then when the winds came back, it came with a lot of dust, and it was like I don't I heard that many people's food was dirty due to the dust particles, and I don't know how they did away with it, but they're trying to adapt in the system. And furthermore, the issue of water, at least at now, we have enough water inside the habitat so that people can wash hands whenever after using the washrooms and before eating, so that they have the health and their health is at the topmost and they are healthy. And that's all I have from the habitat.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay,
much
maybe I
for
can
the
add
response.
a little.
Okay. Thank you so much yes.
Okay, maybe I can add a
Franz?
little about sanitation. So about sanitation, we have two portable toilets, one dry compost toilet and one for flushing. So the flushing toilet we use for a short call, and the dry compost toilet we use for a long call. So every day we have we have created an hygiene duty where people clean them every day, and for the disposing of our waste we usually conduct them during for the two EVAs, the morning EVA and the evening. So we don't have the smell. We have so that we can have less smell at the hygiene room. Also, as of right now, we have a broom. So when someone is taking a shower and there's a lot of water accumulating at the hygiene room, we can clean it off. So we have less mosquitoes and the floor will be less slippery, so that none of the astronauts can fall down.
Okay. Thank you
That's
so
all I have
much.
to say about sanitation.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Let's hear from the mission control and share few challenges that maybe you haven't talked about, or there is a challenge that she's facing outside here. For the interest of time, just share with us a little bit of the challenges and the solutions, and as we continue, as we approach the end of the session. Teresa, please.
Okay, one of the challenges we are facing is the winds blowing at a high rate. So that's become a challenge. Sometimes it blows the dust and
Those the bottles too.
yeah, also the bottles, and carries them sometimes. So it becomes a challenge after collecting them and they're being blown. So yeah, but we're working on that, and we always collect them after that. So yeah, we have to cope with it. And another challenge is about the
water. How do they get their water?
water is not a challenge, but I always fetch for the water for habitat, the hygiene water, and they always pick it up during their EVA at 2:30 and sometimes at 9:30. Or sometimes if there is an emergency, the habitat officer always communicates and I deliver some water for them.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I had Stanley talking about the blowing winds. Like it's made of the food which we were taking outside with that. Can you how do you like since you are the habitat and sanitation officer, due to that wind and the food, how do you cope with that? How do you manage that? How do you face that challenge?
So
Okay, as of right now, we don't have a proper channel for dealing with that because it has just happened once, and there's nothing we can do about it because even the winds are unpredictable. So there's nothing. I mean, we just wait for the dust to clear, then we clean our floors, and we move on.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd like to return the studio to Dr. Claire so that she can wrap it up all. And thank you guys for tuning in. Dr. Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Again, you have been hearing from the Mission Control crew and the Habitat crew of the Mwezi 1 mission. This is the first ever lunar analog simulation being done in sub-Saharan Africa. We at Open Africa Space Exploration Analog Simulation Initiative, coming out of the Futures Forum, are very pleased and proud to partner with the Gala Rover Scouts crew of Machakos University. The crew is joined by Mayor Patience Namagwana, who comes from Uganda and is here as mission commander. This is the first time that this crew is participating, and so they are actually living and learning at the same time. This is a study on the way. As the pioneers of this movement here in Kenya, the Galarovo crew and now the Mwezi 1 crew will be participating with us in designing not just the next stage of the analog astronaut, our next mission, which we hope to have next year for International Moon Day. We also hope to have some virtual missions with this crew following this World Biggest Analog to continue to practice the things that they have learned. We also hope to prepare some of this content for the establishment of a space badge, not just for the Kenya Girl Guides Association, which has already signed off and gone public with their plans, but also with the Kenya Scouts Association. So there's a lot riding on this. This is bigger than we think. It might be a small thing, but you know the saying, big things start with small journeys, and each and every one of us, there are 16 young people under the age of 25 in our crew. There are about 6 to 8 adults in support who are here, have been here nonstop since October, supporting them. And we, as I said, we at the Mwezi 1 Habitat and Mwezi 1 Mission, we at Open Africa, which is the name of our system, are very, very excited, proud, and feel very privileged to be leading Africa in this new direction of space analog research. So thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you tonight in our common rooms where you'll have a lot more opportunity to talk, chit chat. We'll be posting that again on our LinkedIn page, on our Facebook page. You'll see it. If you want to join, it's a Zoom room, and we will post that link on our Futures Forum LinkedIn page, so you'll be able to join us. Anyone is free to join and participate and ask questions in our common room every evening. Now, 7 p.m. Kenya time is 12 p.m. East Coast of United States, 9 a.m. West Coast of United States. If you're in the Atlantic region, where many of the Caribbean islands are, you are 1 hour behind us, 11 a.m. And of course, if you are in Hawaii, you're talking about 6 a.m. So we hope that this time makes it possible for people from around the world to participate, to learn from what we're doing, and for other non-spacefaring countries in around the world, in the Pacific, in the Caribbean, in parts of Asia, where this is about a dream. We do hope you find us at some point, and we're here to share with other non-spacefaring countries because we believe in space for all. So as we like to say here at Mwezi One, kwa mwezi!
Kwa nyota!
Kwa mwezi!
Kwa nyota!
And with that, we thank you for joining us.